the satellite, and the pressure has dropped. So again, we'll ask the Hurricane Center if they think, in fact it does say they're still thinking it might strengthen a little bit before it gets to the coast, and they still are expecting up to 20 inches of rain over the Florida Peninsula and over the northwestern Bahamas, because the wet part of the storm is the back part of the storm as those feeder bands feed in there. So there's still a long way to go, and it's just offshore of where Juan is and just offshore, immediately offshore of Juno Beach, and 2 more feeder bands to go before the big one gets into Fort Pierce.
All right, since it is immediately offshore of Juno Beach, and you said that the very strong cells associated with the eye wall are going through there, we have a reporter standing by there live and a live picture to bring you as well.
It's certainly gotten very dark there. It doesn't look like there's electricity available, but Art Barron has been there throughout the day. Art, are you still with us? We're trying to make contact. There he is.
We're still here. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can. Art, go ahead.
Okay, well, you can see the palms out in the distance there. Those are lighted up, and now we've turned on our own light here, and from time to time you're going to see some of the driving rain. But as I walk out here, I'm just going to try to give you an idea about the wind gusts. You can feel it. The driving rain is coming to me pretty hard at this point. This is one of the squalls that we've been in. There's intermittent let-ups, though, which is kind of nice. It's kind of a nice respite from all the hard-driven wind and rain that we've been experiencing here most of the day. But I can tell you that the weather has deteriorated rapidly out here in Juneau just in the past hour. It seems like every 10, 15, 20 minutes you get into a higher stage, a more intense stage of this severe weather from Francis that is just right upon us. I mean, it's barreling down. We're waiting for the eye of the storm to get to us, but as you know, you guys have been talking about it all along, that these are now some of the most severe winds associated with this hurricane. People are hunkered down. They're in there. They've gone far away from here because this is, a part of the evacuation plan out here along the coastal communities. You guys were telling me, 2 million people throughout the state without power, 500,000 just here in Palm Beach County, no electricity. So it's one of those things where you're going to have to ride it out. This thing is a slow turn. I mean, it's just slowly moving, and that means it's just going to keep on grinding and grinding and grinding for a long, long time. People are just saying, oh my gosh, let's just have this thing move through, let's have it dissipate, but it's just one of those things. It's just going to linger on for a while. People are talking about, well, maybe there's some relief in the eye of the storm once that passes, that maybe they can do some driving, but we're hearing from a lot of people, do not do that, stay where you are. Gasoline, of course, you can't find it anywhere. A lot of people are going to run out of gas if that happens, and the last thing you want to do is try to go somewhere, and then you run out of gas, and then you're stranded along the highway or along the street. Then what are you going to do? So right now, the best thing to do, stay where you are, and keep it tuned right here at CBS4 News. Of course, we have, we're being simulcast on a lot of radio stations throughout the area as well. Okay, right now we're getting a pretty big, pretty strong surge of wind, if you will, a blast of wind that's coming through. So yes, these winds are definitely moving at a fast pace. Guys?
For those of you listening along on the radio, as Art mentioned, we're looking at a very soggy Art Barron standing outside a large condo complex in Juno Beach. It's very dark behind him by now. Obviously, we're coming up on 8 o'clock right now, and Art's been giving us the rundown there. I want to remind our viewers that we are closely tracking the situation in Dade and Broward counties, in Miami-Dade and Broward counties, and we're going to focus in with Brian Norcross in just a moment on what we can expect, but there's really not nearly as much going on there, and we're trying to keep you in the heart of the storm here.
Art Barron says he's looking forward to the eye of the storm in Juno Beach and Fort Pierce, where Jawan Strader is standing by. They will not see a rest, and it is coming down hard. Jawan?
It is coming down hard, Maggie, and let me show you right behind me. This hotel is in a break area where actually it protects the folks, but if you take a look outside of the hotel, you can see the winds coming in very, very strong, and you can see the rain coming in at that 45-degree angle. We're going to do a little bit more walk and talk, and we're going to show you some of the debris that continues to fly over here. We're going to walk over here, and you're going to see some of the shingles that continue to come off this roof, and they continue to come flying, and you hear some loud bang sound, and you're just hoping, first of all, that you're not hit with one of these things. And you can see the limbs from the trees, and you can see all the leaves in this area, and if you take a look at most of the cars, you can see how much they are covered with the limbs from the trees due to this powerful wind. Now we want to show you again the storm and how it's coming in, we want to show you a little bit of a closer shot here. And you can see how it's coming in at that 45-degree angle. This is the latest band, that squall that is coming in right now. And we wanted to show you that. And again, show you some of that debris that is still on the ground. But there you go. We're going to show you that debris right now on the ground, and we want to show you that, and which we keep on pointing over and over because we keep on hearing this noise from the roof, which is really scary. But again, this storm is expected to continue throughout the night into the early morning hours and get only worse. That's where we want to alarm people, to let them know it's only going to get worse. That's why they need to stay in a safe place and protect themselves, because it's going to get worse before it gets any better, especially the flooding. From Fort Pierce, Jawan Strader, CBS4 News.
And for our listeners, when Jawan talks about the debris, he's not just talking about a few shingles. I mean, he's showing us dozens and dozens of shingles and palm fronds and tree debris all over this parking lot. Is it a condo complex or a hotel?
It's a hotel. It's a hotel, Maggie, that we're at right now. This is a hotel, the Econo Lodge, here in Fort Pierce. And right now you're taking a look at some of the other crews, but you're also taking a look at some of the residents. Many of them are watching the coverage. Many of them are watching this storm, watching the eye of the storm very, very closely. But you see some of the folks on their balconies, because some of them actually, believe it or not, have cabin fever. And boom, there goes another shingle. I don't know if you caught that one or not. Here comes a few more, and they are just coming off left and right because the wind is so strong. But again, the way this particular hotel is made, Rob and Maggie, it kind of protects us, at least anyway, in the middle here a little bit from the powerful winds that you see outside of the hotel. The wall kind of is a break for that wind that is coming in here so strong.
Jawan, we have to leave you now. Your satellite window runs out in 15 seconds. Again, I want to emphasize Jawan is paid to do what he's doing right now, and we wouldn't want him to ever be in any type of danger, but he is paid to bring us the latest on the storm, and please don't go outside when that stuff is flying around. And
Jawan won't be outside if he feels he's at too great a risk either. It is now 8 o'clock, straight up, top of the hour. Maggie Rodriguez here, along with Rob Hanrahan, and as we do every hour at this time, we want to bring you the latest coordinates on Hurricane Francis.
And of course, we're staying focused on where the brunt of the storm is hitting, Brian Norcross, but we want to draw you in here, and we've had some viewers from Miami-Dade calling, and Broward County is wondering what to expect and when, so if you could touch on that also here.
All right, we'll definitely get to that. Tornado watch just issued, but not for southeast Florida, for central Florida, and we'll get you the exact details on that in just a moment. Let's check on the real-time Doppler 4, and we're going to start here in the Juno Beach area, because this is the worst of the hurricane right here, and it's just a few miles offshore. That is what amounts to the eye wall. Now, the one band, a strong band, has gone through, and right now, right along the coast, they're in a lull at Juno Beach, but it is advancing now. This is the eye over here, where things are going to go and slowly just die down considerably. Now, going back north up to Fort Pierce, here's where Jawan Howard is, and look at how close that band is. This is that very strong band, but not the super band. This is the eye wall over here. So they have this band to go through, and then that one. So it's going to take quite a bit longer. Where Jawan was there, he was in the actually very nice weather, in spite of how stormy it looked there. It's just going to get very much worse very soon. And now down to Miami-Dade and Broward County, and you can't look at this here because that's all to do with the radar, because we have it on a very sensitive mode. And there's just a little bit left here of a band in southern Miami-Dade County, and there's a band that's just approaching central Broward County, kind of approaching the western area, but does not look very strong. The main issue here appears to be up just near the Boca Raton area, a very strong band just north of Boca. Now, let me put this into motion, and then we'll see how close that is going to come. And we can see that that very strong band in Palm Beach County looks like it's going to rotate down into Broward County. So you folks in North Broward have got a little while to go, but a very strong band, one of the stronger bands, not the strongest. Strongest is still well offshore. but one of the stronger bands from the hurricane is going to move into northern Broward County here in just a little while. And there are gusty winds as well in some of these other more broken bands that look like they're moving down into Miami-Dade County. Now let's look at the view of the whole storm here. And you can see how well it's filled in and how much more of a donut it is now, a closed donut, indications of possible strengthening. And the Hurricane Center is still thinking that it might strengthen a little bit before it gets ashore. Okay, now here's a longer loop where we can actually see movement. I'm showing this loop just to make you feel a little better about the fact that the storm is indeed moving, and it is. It's moving on off almost due west, actually, drifting to the west. And now we can see these bands just right at the coast. Now, the other thing to see on this picture is notice that the rain continues to come up into the northwest Bahamas here, Grand Bahama and Abaco. And before this is over, 20 inches of rain or so is expected to fall over those islands, and 20 inches or more over the mainland parts of central Florida especially. I think we'll have considerably less than that here on the southeast coast in Miami-Dade and Broward. Well, let's take a pause now. Broward County Mayor Eileen Lieberman.
Though it's not any questions.
All right, that's Broward County Mayor Eileen Lieberman. The biggest news out of that, I think, is the issue of releasing the people that have evacuated maybe as early as tomorrow morning, and they're going to have to go through an assessment process because it's not at all clear that the warnings are going to be lifted in the morning. It just depends on how quickly the storm weakens as it goes ashore. Let's just take a quick look at a couple satellite pictures, and I'll give you the latest coordinates in case you didn't get them. They're at 8 o'clock. And there you see the storm moving, and we also see this very large eye that has some clearing in it, and it's right to the coast. So now the storm is moving. It looks like it's moving almost due west, maybe a little bit north of due west, and it is going to go ashore. But also, if you haven't been watching this during the day, look at the big area of rain behind it, and that is going to come in here tomorrow. So this is tomorrow's weather. We have this little bit today, and then a lot more tomorrow, but it should not be as strong. The winds should not be as strong because the overall system should weaken once the eye goes ashore. Now, here we can see these thunderstorms. See, these are all thunderstorms here. Now, watch as we go through the day here today, and watch it kind of spin up, and we get a nice arc in there that wasn't there earlier. So now, right in here, these are the very strongest storms, and they're just now approaching the coast, right along the coast there. And that's probably the strongest cell of the whole hurricane right there, and it's kind of moving down, and eventually this storm is going to move on in. As it gets dark, we kind of lose access to that picture right there. All right, here are the numbers from 8 o'clock, 27.0 and 79.4, 105 mile-an-hour winds, although we have seen some measurements that seem to be a little bit higher, and the storm's pressure has been dropping. So we'll see. The Hurricane Center says it is possible to get a little bit stronger before it comes ashore, 50 miles east-northeast of Palm Beach, but really kind of directly off of Juno Beach, more or less about 45 miles out from Juno Beach right now. But that eye, that's the center of the eye, but that eye is about 60 miles across. So the band, the strong band, is just offshore, maybe 4 or 5 miles offshore right now. All right, well, we'll be back here in just a moment.
Brian, thank you very much. Before we continue with our coverage of Hurricane Francis, a quick programming note. If you're still lucky enough to be able to watch us on television, you can catch CBS primetime programming on our sister station, UPN 33. The Amazing Race is on now. It will be followed by Big Brother 5, and then Without a Trace after that.
For those of you joining us on the radio, sorry, Meg.
Rob is turning on his mic, and he's saying, for those of you joining us on the radio.
If you are still concerned about your power going out, you're watching us on TV, we are on the radio right now, WLRN 91.3 FM. When I throw that in, this is a live picture from Juno Beach. This is a shot that we haven't seen yet, and if you are joining us by radio, it's just showing a stand of palm trees, which are all just blowing in one serious direction, and you can see the driving rain going by the lights of the camera right there.
Juno and Jupiter, as Brian mentioned, will be getting the strongest band of the hurricane any second now. But he also mentioned that northern Broward County as well as southern Palm Beach County will be seeing some pretty bad weather as well. And our Robin Kish is standing by in Boca Raton. Robin?
We are being whipped by the strongest winds of the day right now. And that is why I'm speaking to you by cell phone. Our live truck operator, Waverly, couldn't put the mast up. So bear with us as we describe the conditions here it's been a rough day all around for the people of Boca Raton. First of all, we took a drive along Federal Highway, my photographer and I, Manel Colo, and found numerous trees knocked over. They were uprooted. There was a huge ficus tree in front of a gentleman's house that had withstood Hurricane Andrew. Well, it's on its side right now, and he was sorry to see it go. But there are actually roadways that are blocked by trees down, and with those trees, they took along the power line. So power is out in a number of neighborhoods here in Boca. So it is definitely a problem now that darkness has fallen and people are inside and they are without power. So they're probably listening to us on their radios. We also saw that the beachfront is being whipped by very strong winds, and we were out there just a little while ago, and the conditions were the worst that we've seen. The beach has been seriously eroded by the pounding waves. The surf is very high, and we've seen a lot of shuttered houses as well as oceanfront condominiums. Boats are tied down pretty securely, so things seem to be going well in that regard, but still problems, as I said, with the electricity. As far as people, so far so good in Boca Raton. There have been reports of minor injuries. I spoke with a spokesperson from Boca Community Hospital, and some residents have been brought in with breathing problems, shortness of breath, bronchitis issues, chest pain, that it's believed that may be related to the hurricane. Some minor cuts. Up in Boynton Beach, which is north of here, 2 towns north of here, a hospital spokesperson at Bethesda Memorial said that 3 adults and 3 children were brought in because of carbon monoxide inhalation, and we believe that could possibly be as a result of a generator. So people really have to be careful of those generators. Once the power goes out, it's good to rely on a generator, but you don't want to breathe in any fumes that could cause you health problems. Right now we are still in the position that we have been in during the day along South Federal Highway in Camino Real. Well, it's dark out and we are in darkness. You basically have to be a bat to see out here. The only bright spot is that there is a Dunkin' Donuts that's right down the street that's open with hot coffee and a restroom. So it's been popping today because really you can't find gas, you can't find food. Everything is locked down tight in this town. And that's basically the report right now from Boca Raton.
We're listening to Robin Kish give us the report from Boca. Robin, how is that store open? Are they running on a generator, or is there actual electricity right there at that store?
They have power on that block. It's really the half of this block is in total darkness, and then there's a whole neighborhood back there that's dark as well. But then the northern side of this block is still lit, so they have power, and that owner is doing a tremendous business today, I can tell you.
We're finding that in every community where we have reporters or residents speaking with us. It varies by neighborhood, but it is safe to say that most of Palm Beach County is without power. At last check, 500,000 customers. And don't head out to that donut shop just now. The curfew is in effect in Palm Beach County, 8 p.m. tonight, 6 to 6 a.m. tomorrow. And this is when the winds are really starting to kick up. This is when it is most dangerous to be outside. If it's bad there, it's even worse up in Juno Beach, where the strongest bands are coming through.
We're still looking at this picture of these palm trees, the stand-up palms, and now they are bending and swaying in the wind. The fronds are all pointed one direction. Art Barron is right there. And Art, if you can hear us, take it away and tell us everything you're seeing.
Well, I don't know. Can you make out, Rob? Can you see the driving rain going past those palm trees?
We sure can, Art. You can see it coming in sheets across the front of the screen.
Okay, because we're having some condensation problems out here, and sometimes that it's hard to make out detail. But from where I'm at, you can see those driving rains. This pattern, this strong wind looks as though it's going. I mean, I would guess here, and I'm just trying to make an educated guess, between 80 to 100 miles an hour. Brian Norcross, of course, will give you the exact figures on that, but this wind is really driving super fast. It's packed full of power, and it is moving fast to the south. So we were going through that severe squall that you were talking about. We've been hearing all about. There's probably more to come. We're nearing the eye of the hurricane. I don't know exactly how far that is away from here at the coast of Juneau. We'll get more of that a little bit later. But you can really feel that wind. It packs a pretty big punch. You can see the way that these palm trees have been bending, and some of the palms have left but for the most part, they're still standing. And I know that that these palm trees can sustain hurricane-type winds, but we've covered hurricanes before with the aftermath where you've seen them snapped in half. So, unless the wind really picks up faster than this, we probably won't see that happen here, but it is going to cause some damage. I can tell you that much. I mean, I saw a lot of damage on the way out here today, and that was just at the early stages of this hurricane and the winds that were coming.
Looking at those palm trees swaying in the gusts of wind, I could swear that I'm looking at a picture from Hurricane Charlie, which of course was a much more severe storm. But my point in saying that is that the worst of this storm, the worst of Francis, is now barreling upon Juno and Jupiter, and we are seeing it live here on CBS4.
We're watching these palm trees. They're falling apart, Art. You were saying, they can withstand some hurricane-force winds, but these things, just in the last few minutes that we've been looking at them, appear to be coming apart. However, we want to break away from our Barron right now. We've got more happening further south.
Northern Broward is getting hit hard. Our Jill Martin is in Pompano Beach. I don't know. Oh, my gosh. Look at you, Jill. Tell us what's going on.
Okay, hi Maggie and Rob. We weren't actually going to come out. I was going to call in, but we opened the door and we thought we were able to bring you these pictures. If you're listening to us on the radio, let me explain what's going on. I think I heard Brian Norcross say this is the first of two of the hardest bands that will pass through North Broward. We are here, Atlantic Boulevard and A1A. These are the gustiest, the most severe. When I stepped out of the van, and you'll see our live truck is right over here. Leon, can you show them? We're really right next to the live truck because it's a little nerve-wracking being so far away, as you would imagine. It really just feels like right now it goes in and out. In a few seconds, in about 10 seconds, we'll get the next gust. So you almost have to hold on to something. That's how severe the wind is at this point. I heard Brian say it's not that bad right now. I can't imagine it getting much worse. Probably like 15 minutes ago, show them that pole that we got. I saw some sparks, and as you can see, I don't know if you could see the broken power line, but I saw something just spark up, and a little bit of, it almost looked like fireworks, and that broke. We actually, Danny just got back. He went to get us dinner. So driving, you're able to drive. The cars are able to actually move along. But it is very dangerous. Obviously, we have very hefty trucks with a lot of equipment in it, so it's very heavy. We showed you a little earlier some of the debris. Are we able to walk a little bit, Leon? Okay, I want to show you a little bit of what's going on here. Fallen down palm trees right in here. Are you able to see that over there? Are you able to see that, Maggie and Rob? Just some of
Jill, we're looking really into darkness right there, but as Leon maneuvers that camera around, possibly we can get a look. For the viewers listening on radio, Jill Martin in Pompano Beach, the conditions there have gotten severely worse since the last time we checked in. And Jill, go on with the narration. Keep telling us what you're seeing there.
Okay, well, I was surprised to hear we were listening in on the radio. We're one of those people that we do not have a signal, so we're like you. If you're listening on the radio, I know how you feel, and if you have shutters on your house, you must feel trapped in there. But let me tell you, it is really rainy and really windy. Picture yourself leaning over just a couple of degrees and the wind just keeping you there. I heard Jennifer Santiago talking about that earlier and didn't understand actually what she was saying. This is my first hurricane I've ever been outside in. And now I can really understand. They are really gusting winds. I am sure you can hear it beside me, and trees are really blowing. And for the first time, we're really seeing a lot of debris. Leon, if you can look over here outside of the hotel on A1A, you see a lot of the trees, a lot of the branches. Down the road, a lot of the huge trees have actually been uprooted. So this is really, I'm happy to say I have not seen anybody in this area. As I told you earlier, we spoke to Captain Rick Moss of the Broward Sheriff's Office. He told us 90, just in Pompano, 90 officers patrolling the area. So you have to feel safe knowing that people are looking after you. I certainly do as they pass through the parking lot. It feels good knowing that someone's looking after us because we want to bring you all this coverage, but of course stay safe at the same time. So pretty amazing pictures. I'm sure you can see the wind in here, and if you're listening on the radio, just picture a sheet of rain. It's really pounding right now. Definitely the hardest of the day, and I can't imagine. Brian said that something a tougher band is coming through. I can't imagine how much more we can sustain and be out here.
All right, Jill Martin live in Pompano Beach where a strong band is coming through. Thank you. We want to head up the coast to Melbourne, which is south of Orlando, and where we've been getting a lot of reports of damage all day long.
Up on the north side of the storm, conditions seem to be worse. Let's go to Corrine Winter. Corrine joins us right now, and tell us the conditions you're seeing right now.
Good evening, Maggie and Rob. Well, first off, here comes the rain again. It had subsided. Just minutes ago, we had an outer band move above us. And take a look behind me. I heard you talking about the palm trees in different areas of Florida. I don't know how much more those can take, how much more they're going to hold up as this wind continues to whip up behind us. We want to pan off and show you here. Members of the media are staying at a local hotel here in Melbourne, and we've not only taped up the windows, but we've lost power. A lot of residents here have packed up and hit the road, but there's still quite a few that have stayed behind, and now they're dealing with power outages. A reported 1.5 million residents all across the state are without power as this storm continues to intensify. We've also just learned that the White House has declared Florida a disaster zone.
Corrine, have you gotten any reports that you're early on in this storm and it will last a long time, but are there any reports of injuries or casualty yet?
No reports of injuries, but with so many power outages here, and I'm speaking for Melbourne because we're specifically located here, we're having to basically walk around with these flashlights. We're not sure how residents are coping. A lot of them that we spoke with earlier said that they were staying put, they would be in their house. Some folks, though, had ventured out on the roadways as late as this evening, and police definitely have a curfew in effect here. They said they don't want to see anyone out on the roadway. They're not only for safety reasons, but they're looking for possible looting, any suspicious activity at all, and they say if they see you, they'll give you a warning once, but the second time they're going to unfortunately have to call people off to jail. Not what they want to have to resort to, but they definitely want to send a message out here tonight.
Corrine, are you in or near an area that was affected by Hurricane Charlie? And if so, is there concern that the second half of the storm, which is the wetter side, will bring more problems to an already saturated area?
Great point. We were perusing the streets earlier today, and a lot of people who said, yeah, I left for Charlie, I want to stay put here now. They said that, you know, they've lost so much, not just with damages to their buildings or structures, not as hard as Punta Gorda, of course, but they were affected, and also with the saturated grounds, already saturated, so they're concerned about flooding, and many people say they've been born and raised here, they're not going to leave here or be forced out by some storm, so they're sticking behind to keep an eye on their belongings.
Corrine, we're coming down to the last minute of your availability by satellite for us. Can you give us a walk around, have your camera follow you around, show us everything you can, and describe it for people listening on the radio for us?
Sure, we're limited by our cables here, but again, we're right along Florida's intercoastal waterway, so we have the wind at our backs, we're getting quite a beating from our standpoint. The palm trees, as you can see, blowing in the wind, and they've been actually worse than this throughout the evening. About 15-20 minutes ago, as I mentioned, we had an outer band move through here, and it was actually so forceful. Beside, to either side of this local hotel we're staying, there are homes, and we've seen something that's quite a concern. We've seen actually families come out to the back, observing the backdrop here, and while it seems very it's exciting from the standpoint of viewers watching at home, actually quite dangerous. We're out here reporting the news, bringing it to people, informing them, but we're in the standpoint where we realize when it's time to bail out. So for anyone who may be listening at home, you're coming to us outside of Florida, but definitely there's a concern here. You want to stay indoors and not treat this matter lightly. Back to you.
Such a good point. Corrine Winter joining us live from Melbourne, saying that if you're inside, you're one of the lucky ones. This is so bad out there, in fact, that our Jill Martin, who we were speaking with in Pompano Beach a short while ago, has had to go inside and seek shelter.
I want to mention here we're going to be showing pictures of Juno Beach, though, much further north, because it got so bad where Jill Martin is located that we're no longer getting a TV picture out of there. You're seeing from Juno Beach palm trees being whipped around by the storm. Jill, are you with us?
Jill is on the phone, by the way.
I am on the phone. It's a little frightening. We were outside, and right when we got off the air, a huge sign flew across the street and banged into the partition. At that point, it really started to get windy. The door of our truck started really blowing. I thought it was going to blow off. Our mast, you know, if everybody knows, to get a signal, you have to put up a very, very high mast, which is dangerous to begin with. But in this sort of wind, especially where we are, we're in really open space. There's one building that I showed you previously, just a big high-rise, probably like, I would say 20 floors overlooking the beach. And if we didn't come under shelter, we were nervous it was going to tip. The van was really, really shaking back and forth. I've really never been in weather like this before. It's really unbelievable. It's just a sheet of black. I don't know what you were able to see. We don't really have a monitor here, but it's truly an unbelievable sight. It's scary to walk outside. I mean, you're walking, and I started screaming because you're nervous you're just going to fly away like Mary Poppins. I mean, that's really how it felt. You almost feel like it can't be real.
Yeah, when you were on live, all we could see, by the way, was you, a speck of you, and just black all around you. And I think this would be a good time, Jill. We talk about flying debris all the time and the danger that it presents, especially at night when you can't see it coming. You have been in it, and as you're going to be describing this for us, we're looking at the radar where we can see Cape Canaveral, Melbourne, Vero Beach, Stewart. They're getting it worse than you are, but North Broward is also getting a strong band. And why don't you talk about the flying debris in the darkness?
Well, it's actually interesting because I heard Mayor Lieberman talking about this before, that it's not necessarily that people can't drive in this weather. Of course you can drive in the weather and your car can sustain it, but the debris flying and the traffic lights out. I forgot to tell you, after we saw the sign blow across, we then saw another, we saw sparks. It looked like the 4th of July. Down the road, probably like 100 yards, another power line had flowed down, and you know, it sparked. So if you were driving and underneath that, I can't even imagine what would have happened. So that's really the danger. When they say to stay inside, I mean, we saw people walking around. The biggest danger is not you walking around, it's what's happening to everything else around you.
Sure, and for our listeners on the radio, we're looking right now at a real-time Doppler 4 radar picture where you can see the lighter part of the screen if you're looking at us in a portable black and white, or the yellowish part through the middle is where the real heavy stuff is located. It's south of Lighthouse Point, just north of the Pompano Beach area, and you can see it stretches from the northwest to the southeast. And we're going to continue putting this picture up, Jill, as you describe what's going on around you. I got to ask you about those power lines. Have they stopped arcing?
The ones I saw have stopped sparking. I'm going to try to walk out of the van on the phone with you. Leon's trying to get some pictures. I'm under a little bit of an awning, so if it gets too windy, please let me know. I just want to look around. Is it too windy? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, but we can't see you, so be
careful.
I
know. I just want to be able to look around to be able to better tell you what's going on here in the street. Okay, I'm back in the street where we originally were when you had, before Lifetime, people on the radio. We're on A1A. It is absolutely desolate. There is not one person, obviously not one car. I don't even see anybody patrolling at this point. It is an absolute just sheet of rain, blowing and blowing. The wind has stopped right now. It seems to come, I would say, in bursts of 30 seconds. You'll get it, and then all of a sudden it will calm down a little bit. But right now, I see a lot of palm trees scattered all over the road. You can still tell it's the road, but there's definitely leaves and everything flying. A few more trees have fallen from where we showed you before. Not tremendous trees, but small palm trees that have been uprooted. As I'm looking down A1A, those power lines from before have stopped sparking, but it's just picking up again now. We're about 200 yards from the beach, so I can very, 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 very faintly see the waves. I mean, it's an unbelievable sight here. I hope I can really understand. Hold on one second.
You are doing a great job describing it to us, Jill.
Okay. You need me to move? Why? Because stuff is flying? Leon's motioning me to get off the street because we're on the corner of A1A and Atlantic Boulevard where one of the power lines has blown up, and now there is debris falling off the roof.
All right, Jill, take care of yourself immediately first. I might just throw in here, it's a good time to say, FPL is not going to be taking calls from people just to report a power outage, but certainly if you see an arcing power line, you are asked to call their emergency line. That's of great concern to them. The real-time Doppler 4 radar picture now showing us the entire screen going almost yellow there from Lighthouse Point down through Pompano Beach and out to the coast.
Joe Martin is talking about downed power lines. A short while ago we heard the mayor of Broward County say that a third of Broward residents are without power, and that's going to stay that way until the worst of this goes through. After that, 6,000 Florida Power and Light employees will be deployed, but that is not going to happen anytime soon. Brian
Norcross has just jumped right back in with us. Brian, I've been looking at this radar picture. I need your expertise here. Tell us, we've got Jill right there in Pompano Beach, and it's nasty there.
It is, and it's actually nastier to the northwest. If we go back to real-time Doppler there, here's Pompano Beach over here. Jill is at Atlantic, I think she said, and A1A, right? Here's Atlantic Boulevard here. So there's Atlantic and A1A. That's where Jill is right there. And we see that the stronger band is back up to the northwest across mainland Pompano Beach and up toward Coconut Creek, and it was in the Coral Springs area. So the winds that would appear to be worse here, because the winds are coming off the land here. They're not coming off the ocean. So according to the radar, that's stronger. It's stronger up west of Deerfield Beach, and then, of course, even up into Palm Beach County, of course, it's very, very strong.
All right, thank you very much, Brian. We're going to go into more south in Broward County, Fort Lauderdale, where we have had Al Sunshine standing by awfully close to the water as well.
Yeah, shows how isolated that these squalls are.
We're here at Bahia Mar Arena. There have been a couple of pretty good squalls going through. Mitch, focus over my shoulder. First, I want to show you lights on off of Las Olas in downtown Fort Lauderdale. We know that there have been reports of possibly as many as 240,000 Broward residents without electricity. We are seeing lights on in downtown Fort Lauderdale. Unfortunately, because of the continuing driving rain, we are also seeing on the mainland a little while ago sparks that are typical of what happens when a transformer goes out. And of course, one of the reasons why those transformers are going out is the continued pounding by the wind. If you take a look at the palm trees over there, you can see they are continued to be pounded. This, I believe, is going on 24 hours now or more of some pretty heavy wind and rain. We know that tonight is going to be an absolutely miserable night for so many.
All right, we've just lost Al Sunshine's signal from Fort Lauderdale. We were monitoring a very large squall line. Brian, come back in, please.
Yeah, this is heading for Key West. We want to let you folks in the lower Keys know, because you might not be paying close attention here, given the fact that you're not under any kind of watch or warning. But watch as I put this in motion here. This is a very strong squall, part of one of the outer bands of Francis, heading right for the lower Keys, and it's going to be there very quickly, probably within the next half hour or so. So in the lower Keys, especially if you're on a boat or even in a mobile home, you could have the same very gusty winds that we've seen elsewhere in South Florida. This may be the only one you get, or maybe you'll get more, and we'll just have to see how this develops. But we want to make you aware that this is a very strong one of the stronger ones moving in the direction of the lower Keys right now.
Thanks, Brian. If you have anybody that you know in the lower Keys, you want to give them a call and just to give them a heads up about this. They might have moved on to other programming, thinking that Francis was not a problem for them, but as we're looking at on real-time Doppler 4 radar, they are getting a strong band of rain right now.
Just a huge storm, that band of rain. I was just going to describe, Brian, but you're still right here with us at where it is for the people on the radio.
Yeah, it's the strongest part of it is northwest of Key West, but it's rotating around the hurricane. Let me just run the sequence one more time. And so what we're seeing is it extends from, say, north of the Dry Tortugas over to just about Key West, and it's kind of rotating down to the southeast. But now there's also bad weather that even extends further up the Keys, up to about the middle Keys, and that'll rotate through as well. And it's going to take a good while, because this isn't just one little narrow band. This is really quite some mass of thunderstorms and squalls. But the heaviest part, by far, is the leading edge, and that's going to come, it looks like, very close to Key West here in within the next hour. It may miss to the west, but it's going to be too close to call. So anybody on a boat in Key West needs to hang on here and be sure you're battened down, because it is going to get very gusty in the lower Keys.
All right, Brian Norcross, thank you. And that goes to show that this storm does not discriminate. For the first time today, we're seeing worse weather in Monroe County than we are in Broward, at least in Fort Lauderdale, where we were in touch with Al Sunshine. We have Al back on the line, and we want to continue his report from Fort Lauderdale right now. Al?
Okay, obviously, as you can understand, this is not an exact science. With the wind, with the rain pouring, it is taking its toll on all of South Florida, including our CBS4 News live truck that every now and then just has to come up for a little bit of air. Again, I just want to continue to show you these palm trees just being continually pounded by the wind and the rain. We're having some pretty severe gusts coming through here now. These are absolutely positively among some of the strongest and worst gusts that we've had all day. You can expect that you're going to have a lot more palm trees blowing in the wind, a lot more palm fronds possibly blowing around. That's going to be creating continuing problems for Florida Power and Light, trying to both repair some of the down power lines for the 243,000 residents of Broward alone, and it's also going to be creating even more problems. So for the rest of the night, you can probably expect this to be typical miserable conditions again. There are curfews in effect in most of the evacuation areas around Dade and Broward. The winds are definitely picking up. If you've been at home, you may be without power, you may be without air conditioning, you may be without cable TV. I can tell you conditions here are absolutely getting much worse. You do not want to be outside. Again, a very important warning for you. Remember, even if it looks as if the bans have passed in your neighborhood, don't go outside. You can expect there could be power lines down, there could be trees down. Boy, that wind is really starting to sting now with the rain. And I can tell you the howling noise that we hear off in the future is continuing to be a lot longer. Again, if you're in your house, if you don't have electricity, please use those generators safely. That carbon monoxide from the generator can be deadly. If you don't have a generator, and if you have candles, please use those candles safely. Don't let children or pets anywhere near them. Make sure you use them at a stable base. Candles are made for emergency purposes only, and of course ceremonial purposes. But the bottom line tonight is, if you are hunkered down, you're going to have to stay there. Conditions are absolutely horrible. These bans, I can tell you again, that we're getting from this side of the storm are among some of the worst that we have felt here. You can see that there are Fort Lauderdale emergency units going along A1A with their lights. My guess is that that is absolutely to keep people off the beach, to let them know that there is a curfew, to let them know that if they are going out in this kind of weather still, they are going into harm's way and they have to be very careful. Live in Fort Lauderdale, Bahia Marina, I'm Al Sunshine, CBS4 News.
All right, Al Sunshine, thanks very much. Looking at the real-time radar, let me locate where Al was here. He's down here on Fort Lauderdale Beach, right in there, and the really bad weather is just to the north, so he's just in this green stuff here. Watch when I put this radar in motion, and you'll see Al doesn't know it, because I don't think he has a monitor there, but he's just about to get that weather that Joe Martin had just a few minutes ago. This very strong band is moving south, and it's now on a line that goes across from Coral Springs over to just north of Fort Lauderdale. So it's Coral Springs and Coconut Creek and Pompano and Deerfield in it now. It is really storming up there. Fort Lauderdale is getting a little fringe effect, and then South Broward has nothing. But this line is moving south in a big hurry, and it's going to just move over all of Broward County, it looks like, here within the next hour or so. So if you are out and listening to us on the radio in Broward, you need to get to a safe spot, because as Jill was telling you, things are going to fly when that band comes through. And let me put it into motion once again and describe it to you. Here, that's in 1 hour it goes from Boynton Beach down to Pompano Beach. So in the next hour, if it continues at this rate, it will go from Pompano Beach all the way to the Dade County line, moving from obviously from north to south. So in Broward County, get in your spot there, because this may be the worst weather that you have had so far. It's not the worst band of the hurricane, but it's the worst one to reach Broward County yet.
Brian, I don't know if you can do this or not, but for the people who can still see us on TV, can that be zoomed out a little bit so we can see how large this squall line is?
Sure. Well, this is actually comes right from the hurricane here. There we can see coming into the picture now the eye of the storm. Now, the strongest part of this is this part up in here. It's sort of, there's two bands here, which you can see, and maybe three bands. Remember we talked about it in Fort Pierce, there were kind of three bands? There's 1, 2, and 3. And the third one, which is normally the weaker of the three, is the one that's moving into North Broward right now. And then the second one is moving into the southern part of Palm Beach, or middle part of Palm Beach County, south of West Palm Beach. And then the really strong one, the one right next to the eye, is still just offshore and just brushing the coast. It brushed the coast right near Juno Beach.
So Juno Beach is going to be getting it worse and worse as that eye gets closer, Brian?
Yeah, because we're going to get, in Broward County, is going to get closer to the eye. The wind, by the way, in that middle band just now gusted to 74 at Palm Beach International Airport, which is right in there. So that has the hurricane force winds in it right there. And then this inner band, this little narrow inner band, is the one where the hurricane hunters have measured the over 100-mile-an-hour winds, 110-mile-an-hour winds.
Okay, a spectacular picture we're looking right now for those of you on the radio at this donut-shaped yellow blob that is approaching the coastline right here.
Right now.
The middle of it appears to be right there in Juneau Beach.
Exactly. That's where Art Barron has been standing by. 110-mile-an-hour winds coming your way, Art. How are you holding up?
We're all doing as best we can right now. Of course, we're preparing for the worst. The wind gusts right now, as I speak, are picking up again. There was a little lull in the activity here. You can see those palm trees to my distance here, and beyond that, you have the ocean, and the swells are pretty huge at this point, and the ocean mist just totally flying right by down to the south, because you can see how, well, you can't see here, but I can by looking at it. You can see how fast those winds are coming. I don't know if you can hear this, but you can hear like this bassy sound of the waves. I'm going to hold the mic out just for a couple of seconds and tell me if you can hear this without the wind distorting. Can you hear that? Can you hear the ocean, the rumble of the ocean? Well, it's a very bassy rumble because of the heavy surf out here. But we are constantly looking for flying debris because that is, of course, the #1 concern. We are anticipating those 110-mile-per-hour winds as the cone, as the eye, keeps on creeping up towards the coast. Of course, we'll keep you informed. Right now, it's pretty calm right here, but that's going to change momentarily. Back to you.
All right, Art, to your south, also in Palm Beach County, Riviera Beach, we understand, which is also along that eye wall that Brian showed us on radar, is taking quite a pounding.
Maybe we can put that radar picture back up as we bring in Wilhelmina Martin from Riviera Beach. Joins us by phone. Wilhelmina, can you tell us what you're experiencing?
Oh, a lot of heavy wind. It's blowing. It's really howling and scary.
Where are you? Are you in a safe harbor?
I'm in my house. No, I'm in my bedroom.
Are you boarded up? Are you?
Yes,
okay.
I'm all boarded up all over everywhere.
Is the wind deafening to you? Because we can hear a lot of noise in the background.
Yes, lots of wind and blowing. Trees swaying. I can look out my sliding glass window. It's kind of dark out here now.
How long has this been going on?
It's Brian.
It's on and on.
So are they telling you anything?
One time.
What is that happened?
We're hearing Brian a little bit. Could you shut up Brian's mic, please, if the studio... Okay, continue, Wilhelmina.
It's blowing real hard. It stopped a little while, maybe about 6 o'clock or so, and then it stopped some, and then it picked back up. Now it's back real bad again.
Wilhelmina, I'm going to ask you to step back away from the window. We don't want you anywhere near our window if you're trying to look outside for us, because you're in one of these bands of squalls that we're seeing move through as the hurricane drifts toward the Florida coastline. The only good thing we can tell you about that is that these bands pass by, and we will experience times of lesser wind than with the high winds.
Are you anywhere near the water, Wilhelmina? Are you near the beach?
I'm on the west side of Old Dixie Highway in Riviera.
Maybe you could turn down your radio, because I think that might be the feedback we're getting. I'm not sure.
No, I don't have my radio on.
Oh, okay, then it just must be a bad connection because of the weather. I know that Riviera Beach is a big resort town. A lot of tourists go there. Tell me what the resorts have done. Are they boarded up and off limits completely?
Yes, they have closed off Singer Island. That's over on the ocean side. So it's, and we have a curfew. No one is allowed to go over that way. Everybody that's close to the ocean or the lake work, they suggested you get away from here. So I'm not quite that close to them, but I'm I guess you'd say east of 95, but not close to the water or anything like that.
All right, Wilhelmina, we're going to ask you to hunker down as this band moves through. Thank you so much for sharing the experience of the storm passing over you with us. Once again, for those of you listening on the radio, that was a resident from Riviera Beach explaining the sound of the howling wind and the rain that is blowing up in that area.
And we could hear it behind her. Right now, this is the part of the state that is getting the brunt of the storm. We're talking about Palm Beach County and down to northern Broward, but northern Miami-Dade has been seeing some wind and rain as well consistently throughout the day, and Gene Apodaca has been watching it from Sunny Isles Beach. Gene?
Yeah, that's right, guys. And actually, in the last 15 minutes or so, it has picked up considerably. I'm talking about the wind here. You can see some of the palm trees right here on Sunny Isles. And those palm trees, you can see, are blowing pretty good. The winds are picking up. So the trailing end of the storm, that, or at least that feeder band that we were talking about before, we're definitely feeling it here in northern Miami-Dade. Again, the rain is just now starting to come down. The wind, in the last 5 minutes, I'd have to say, has really slowed down a bit, but again, we're expecting more gusts to come in. I was talking to you earlier about talking to the chief of police here on Sunny Isles. He was expecting this. He said he wanted to come out here and have a new crew come on a little bit early, around 7:30, where they usually start at 8 o'clock, because they wanted to warn people to get ready for this feeder band. And in fact, just a short time ago, we did see an officer come down here along the beach, and he did tell that officer did tell a couple of people to get off the beach. Behind me, there are a couple of condominiums and hotels that are still open. There's some residents, as we can see throughout the night, still popping out, trying to check out the conditions. But again, most of them have gone inside as the winds start kicking up.
All right, Gene Apodaca, thank you for that report. We're going to stay in Miami-Dade County and bring you a report out of Jackson Memorial Hospital, who we understand is now initiating its mass casualty plan. And that means that they are ready to take on big casualties, not from our area, we understand, but from the Bahamas, where in the aftermath of the storm we are seeing more and more people severely injured.
Which means that they are able to get some of the people back from the Bahamas who need medical treatment. What they have to do is shuffle some patients around and prepare to take on many, many new patients. That's going on at Jackson Memorial, which thankfully right now, if they are trying to coordinate all of that, is not quite suffering the brunt of this storm as it moves in.
And this is the first time that Jackson has done this. If you'll recall the fire on the Norway cruise ship, that was very severe, and they did it then, but not since. So it must be very dire straits for Jackson Memorial Hospital to be initiating this mass casualty plan.
All right, we've got Jill Martin in Pompano Beach, and Jill is back with us on the telephone. We don't have the TV signal anymore out of Pompano Beach where Jill is, but what can you tell us now?
Hi, Rob and Maggie. I'm okay. We are in the live truck underneath an awning of a hotel about 150 yards from the beach. I'm trying to think of how to describe it. Howling is the wind. I'm going to walk around a little bit. Hopefully you can hear it and get out of the live truck. I'm okay. I'm under an awning. There is debris flying everywhere. Signs, street signs, stop signs, no parking signs, just everywhere you look. In addition, the water, it's like a sheet, it's like a moving walkway of water. That's the best way to describe it. And I just can't even imagine voluntarily being out in this weather. We saw a couple of cars drive by here. Again, we're on 81A in Atlantis Boulevard, and just really everybody needs to stay in, especially if they're listening on the radio. It's just, we were driving this live truck, and again, it's a huge van with a lot of equipment, and it was just shaking back and forth. This is the absolute worst weather I have seen here. And I know that Brian said a more severe band is coming through. Is that the case here? Is that what's happening? Because this is really unbelievable weather right now.
That is what Brian said. And right now, as we look at real-time Doppler 4 radar, we can see the progression. We can see that it goes from green to yellow to orange, which shows deterioration exactly where you are, Jill. And we really have seen it come full circle. I remember you in the early morning hours, actually at around noon, when you were out there and people were surfing and you were saying, this isn't so bad, this isn't so bad, then it got a little bit worse, and now it is so bad that you have had to seek shelter and hunker down. This is what Florida has been waiting for 2 days, the arrival of Hurricane Francis.
Well, it's really unbelievable, and I know you both will appreciate this, and for all the reporters. My mother, of course, is in New York and is so nervous, and just called and said, we heard reports that a reporter was hit by styrofoam, and please, you can be careful. I heard Brian saying before that you can avoid being hurt in this type of weather if you follow the precautions. If you're in your home and you're doing what officials say to do, Yes, if I'm going to stand on the street right now, I may get hit by debris, but that's why they're urging people not to stand out here. It's really severe. Again, power lines still flying around. No sparks now, but just the loose wires. So it is so dangerous for cars on the road if anyone's driving around.
Sure, from real-time Doppler 4 radar, the entire screen starts to turn all yellow or light-colored if you're watching on black and white as this large squall moves in. You mentioned, I don't know how long ago it was, maybe a half hour by now, about this big sign that flew off one of the buildings and slammed into something near you. Can you describe the size of that and go over that with us one more time?
It looked like a stop sign, although it doesn't look like where it was in the street it is, but it's about that size, and it just feverishly flew. That's the only thing I can say, because the minute we got off the air, that second, it just flew and just bang, hit the partition. And that's what we're really seeing here. What they were describing before, and when I'm listening on the radio to all the other reporters and all my colleagues saying that it's calm, and then all of a sudden, it just surprises you, and that's really what this storm is about. I mean, it's just lingering around, but you think you're okay, and you go out and we say, okay, let's raise the mask, we want to show everyone the pictures, and then 10 seconds later, you're holding on to something because the wind is just so severe. I don't know, can you tell me how fast the winds are here right now?
Well, Brian is finding out right now. Pompano Beach sure wants to know the wind speed.
60 to 70 mile an hour right now.
60 to 70 mile an hour winds. And Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but they should be seeing a break when the eye comes through. Hours or?
Yeah, well, they won't see the eye. It's not going to.
Pompano won't?
Pompano won't.
Oh, I thought it started at Fort Pierce.
Yeah, but down only to Palm Beach County.
Okay.
Let me, Maggie, let me go back into weather control, but I can tell you the story a little more about the Jackson situation.
Okay.
There are indeed Bahamians being airlifted in, but also what's happened at Charles R. Drew Middle School, a shelter. Fire chief went into the shelter and found that there were a bunch of elderly folks that should not have been there. They would needed special care, and here they've been stuck there all this time, and they were in a serious condition. And the fire chief said, these folks have got to go to Jackson right now. These other ones can be put in another shelter, in a special needs shelter. So it was a problem, and the way this normally happens, and you hate to say exactly what happened, but what normally happens is you have folks that never registered with the county to go to a special needs shelter where they'll get special care, and they ended up going to a regular shelter where they're sort of on their own. But we'll find out later if that's what happened. But anyway, it's 30 elderly folks from Charles R. Drew Middle School are being sent by the county over to Jackson Memorial Hospital, and again, the hospital is executing their plan to deal with a whole bunch of people all at the same time, and separately, some folks from the Bahamas that were injured are being brought in, but we don't know the details on that at this time. But both things happening at the same time, that's what the confusion is.
So maybe it would be a good time to tell anybody listening to us at a shelter, if you see anyone around you who you think maybe shouldn't be there, at least for not the amount of time that we are having to be in these hunkered down places, give a call to 911. They say they were getting bombarded by calls that weren't emergencies, but this constitutes an emergency, and Jackson Memorial Hospital is now equipped to handle it.
Look at this from Dania Beach. This picture just came up, and Maggie, something just flew by the screen right there.
It looked like a big palm frond at least.
Yeah, and then sheets of rain coming down right there. The wind at Dania Beach, Brian, about 60, 70 miles an hour or less?
Well, yeah, if you take a quick look at the radar, you'll see that band is advancing right now, just entering, and it's going to get a lot worse in Dania Beach here, because that bottom end of that same band that went through Pompano Beach is right at the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport right now. And let me just take a quick look here and get a reading out of Fort Lauderdale and see if they've updated their reading. And let me see, peak wind there, well, in the 50s. So peak wind there over 50 miles an hour. But that was an hour ago, right? That was at the top of the hour. So, no, we haven't gotten one. We'll see when we get another report here any minute now what they're reporting, but I bet it's going to be higher.
And so it's safe to say Fort Lauderdale northward, bad weather, and it extends very far inland?
Yes. Let's bring the radar out where we can really see how big this is. Sweep all the way through. It's not going to stop anywhere and move on out. This one is one of the strong ones that is going to go through, and this is why we have the warning up, because this is the kind of band that can produce gusts at or near hurricane force, and that's why we have a hurricane warning maintained even after it became clear that the center of the hurricane was going to go north of Miami-Dade and Broward.
Brian, this late arrival of Francis, certainly down in Broward County and into Miami-Dade, comes as no surprise to us. We've been here for 2 days now watching this thing just drift and be very slow. We heard the mayor, Eileen Lieberman, saying just a while ago that she was hoping to reverse the evacuation plans by as early as 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. And with the way this storm seems to be so fickle and moves so slowly, you think maybe that was optimistic?
Yeah, I think that probably is optimistic, but there's some reasonable chance that they will be able to do it at some point tomorrow. It may be a little later in the morning, but what we're going to have to wait for is this storm to actually get on land. So once the donut is over here, or maybe even not that far, maybe just a little ways on land, then the strength of these winds is going to be less. Not that it's not going to be windy, it's going to be windy all day tomorrow, and it's probably going to be windy, still kind of breezy on Monday. But the winds will be dying down at a threshold that we would expect. It wouldn't be so unsafe, especially on a Sunday. Because remember, on Sunday and Monday, folks don't have to be running off to work anywhere. So we don't have rush hour and things like that. So even if it's a little breezy, your thresholds can be somewhat more relaxed on a weekend than they would be when you have expressways full of people and trucks and everything else. But it may be a little optimistic, yes, that the winds are going to be low enough at 5 a.m. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't wait until somewhat later in the day.
Some holiday weekend, huh, Brian?
Yeah, for all of us. You are watching continuing coverage of Hurricane Francis on CBS4 News. We are also simulcasting on the radio on 91.3 FM WLRN. I'm Rob Hanrahan along with Maggie Rodriguez. We are approaching the top of the hour. We're just 20 seconds away from 9 o'clock straight up.
So we want to put you back in contact with Weather Control for a full recap. And what we're watching right now, if you're still watching us on television, is Dania Beach, where you can see the palms taking a beating from Hurricane Francis and the fronds becoming detached and just becoming projectiles out there on Dania Beach. Broward County, Palm Beach County, and our neighbors to the north are taking the worst of the storm that we have seen so far today. Let's get to Brian Norcross for his top of the hour update.
All right, let's go ahead and look at that real-time Doppler 4 once again. First of all, we're going to start in the Keys, because the Key West National Weather Service office has just issued a special marine warning because of this cell here, and it's this cell over here, and it's moving down to the south. Now, just this second came in. It's 19 miles northwest of the light down there, and they're moving. They measured gusts in here at about 45 miles an hour. So tropical storm force winds in this cell here, this large complex of thunderstorms actually, that is moving to the south and is going to move through the lower and middle Keys here very shortly. Now further north we go, where we can really get a good view of the hurricane. And let me turn off the Key West radar so that we don't get kind of multiple images all at the same time there. And we can see the very solid-looking donut associated with Hurricane Francis just offshore. Of course, we were saying just offshore some hours ago, and it just kind of refuses to come in. But another important thing for you folks that can watch on television is to look at this tail down here, and in the tail we saw some reds a moment ago. Now with this scan it's not, but very strong cells in this tail, and it remains to be seen tomorrow, once the hurricane comes over land, if we don't continue to have cells over in the tail that are quite strong, and that would not be at all surprising. So my point is that, as Max Mayfield said not long ago, we may very well have to deal with this for much of the day, if not all day, tomorrow, until we finally feel that we have an element of safety here and the whole thing has died down. It really has to do with how quickly the storm dies down as it reaches the land. And sometimes when they're very large like this, and the circulation will still be over the water even when the center is over the land, a lot of the thunderstorms maintain the strength. So we're just going to have to see exactly how that goes. Here we can go in motion from 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the only heartening thing is the storm is moving. I mean, it's crawling, but it is moving onto the coast, and we can hear in this kind of enhancement, we can see the strongest cells. They're all yellow, and they're just about to rotate around into the St. Lucie County, Martin County, and northern Palm Beach County coast, as this eye looks like it's going to come ashore very, very soon, right on the Palm Beach County, Martin County line. And out in these outer bands here, still very, very strong cells. In fact, just about as strong as we're seeing now in that right near the eye. On the satellite picture here again, we can see the storm making the move off to the west toward the state of Florida, and we also see a fairly clear area there just offshore. Now, it's not totally clear, but it is much clearer than it is those bands are. So it's really going to start relaxing in Palm Beach County as the eye comes through. The numbers as of 8 o'clock, 27 and 79.4. Winds were still at 105. Now, hurricane hunters are still out there, and Craig Setzer is analyzing their reports, and it was just drifting mostly to the west. 900, and that's not correct now. It was 957, right? That turned out to be a misprint, 951, and that's what scared us, because if the pressure really had dropped 9 millibars or 8 millibars in that short a period of time, we would have thought, oh, that's strengthening, and they put out a correction. It was 957 millibars, so okay, it came down a little bit, but not a big drop. And the center of the eye was 50 miles east-northeast of Palm Beach, but the eye is so big, 60 miles across, that was that's not really relevant, because the eye is just about the edge of the eye, just about to come ashore now, right on the Palm Beach Martin County line, right in that area. So that gets you up to date here. Otherwise, we just have this plodding along, and the weather, though, it's just getting now to where it's almost as close to us as it's going to be. So this is where we expect to have the strongest weather here in the next few hours.
They're already seeing it in Juno Beach, where our Art Barron has been trying to contend with all the flying debris, mainly from the palm fronds that are coming loose. And right now, as we look at his signal, it is stalled, it is black. It is just unreadable right now from Juno Beach, but we'll try to reestablish and check back with him. Oh, we got...
bring you down to Dania Beach here. Sean Kniff is standing by. Sean?
Hey, Rob, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine, Sean. Give us the rundown there.
We've been having electrical problems and everything. We've had to seek shelter several times inside our news van. We saw you talking about us with those shots of debris flying from our mass camera on our live truck over here. It gets pretty wild at this scene here. The winds, we heard Brian say 50, 60 miles an hour. It seems much faster than that when you're in it. And right now we appear to be in another lull, and it's safe to go outside. Over here, you can see right now, I believe, although I'm a little turned around, that we are facing west because the ocean's directly to my back. But right in front of us is a tree that went down. And on this horizon, as you watch, we have some lights over there in the distance further in the west. But all over here was illuminated previously and has been all right. See, this is how intimate. Here comes another gust. You see how intermittent these are? It was very, very calm, and then these come almost out of nowhere. But when these come, often you're going to see explosions of the transformers and sparks off in this distance. This entire parking lot, which is now black, is it was completely illuminated for every shot since we've been here. Now it's entirely dark, and down the ways over there, which you can no longer see, it's a lake. We are segregated here at Dania Beach by about 2-3 feet of water at a minimum, and also underneath that water, since the beach has washed over, we have about a foot of sand, so it's very hard to get our truck through. I mean, we are literally quite stuck, and if you stay out here for too long, a lot of stuff, it gets very, very dangerous, and we just lost a light. Yeah,
lights out, and when we could see more of you, we could see that street sign behind you, barely hanging on, as well as the palm tree behind you. It is just the worst we have seen in Broward County today.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really bad situation, and it's a little bit scary, and I kind of understand what Jill Martin is going through. And we don't have too many street signs over here that are flying around. I mean, those are made of metal and they're quite sharp. But I don't want to take a branch in the noggin either. So we're going to go seek some shelter back in our live truck, if you guys don't mind, and I recommend that to everybody else in this area to do the same.
Sean, get inside right now, okay? We'll just stay with your camera for a second, but that debris is very dangerous when it's flying around. Jill was talking about that heavy sign that blew by her, size of a stop sign, and when those things are projectiles and they're going at 50, 60 miles an hour, they're very dangerous.
Yeah. And Art Barron also talked about it in Juno Beach. These are actually pictures out of West Palm Beach, our sister station up there, WPBF, and we can see they're getting it as well. So it's a pretty consistent battering from Fort Lauderdale to our north as the eye wall of Hurricane Francis starts to come in.
And it's difficult to describe what's in this picture here, but we can see some palm fronds blowing into the top of the screen, and looks like something off to the left there. But it's very dark in this shot. We're going to try to take you up now to Juno Beach. and Art Barron has been standing by up there. Art, what's the latest?
Okay, well, you can really see right now. We're going to pan over here. You can see the wind, rain. It's just all over the place. We're hearing crackles now. That's a good indication that we're seeing some tree limbs or the actual trees themselves snapping in the distance. There's also a sporadic lightning out here. The rain has also become much heavier in the past 15-20 minutes. But as you can tell, as you can see, as you can hear, this thing has become more powerful with each passing minute here. All of us are basically confined to some safe areas of this concrete, steel reinforced condominium. But right now, we're just taking a look at all the elements. This has really become a very dangerous hurricane. I mean, all throughout the day it's been bad. It's been treacherous driving, and obviously I can't imagine anybody being on the road with these kinds of winds. Just look at that. Look at the rain just driving by me at fierce speeds.
Art, last time we spoke with you, the 110-mile-an-hour winds were just offshore. Have you noticed a deterioration, or it's not quite with you yet?
No, it's right now it's building. You know, sometimes you get lulls, and the last time I was on air, I had mentioned that there was actually like a calm period, and that was true. But right now, hold on just a second here. Let me just make sure you're okay there. All right. But now we're getting a real.
All right, Art, excuse us here.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a quick break and take you down to Broward County. Actually, the Broward Palm Beach line, where some problems are reported right now.
Right into Deerfield Beach. Lee Davalos is standing by there for us. Lee, what do you see?
Hey, Rob. We're here in Deerfield Beach, and I have to tell you, it's been getting worse. The rain has been coming down stronger. We've been having some stronger wind gusts. You can see there's some palm fronds there in the middle of the road here on Hillsborough Road. There's a couple of cars on the roadway. Mainly, we've been seeing police cruisers and I think some residents going over the bridge. A couple of people driving around. Now, earlier today, up here on this bridge that leads to Deerfield Beach, there were two cruisers that were still blocking everyone but residents from going onto the island, and they are gone. And they said they would be gone once things started to deteriorate and the wind started getting a little higher. Palm fronds all over the place here. Lights are out, as you can see up here. They're kind of just blowing in the wind. And the wind gusts that we've been having here, and it's a little cold actually. This is really, for me, the first time that I've felt the wind and the rain actually be cold. So not a good situation. It seems like it's getting worse as the evening is going on, and of course as Hurricane Francis gets closer to us.
Lee, we're also joined by many people on the radio right now, and I just want to point out to them that we're looking at Lee Davalos standing in a heavy rainstorm in a yellow raincoat, very dark behind you. Paint us as good a picture as you can for those who can't see your picture here.
Well, really, rain coming down pretty hard, gusty wind, and a lot of debris on the roadway. As we were driving to our location here when we left the beach side and came over to the mainland, we noticed a lot of palm fronds and trees and tree branches on the roadway, and we also noticed a lot of transformers also exploding, and we just lost our light, exploding off in the distance, and we heard fire engines going off to those. So not a good situation out here, certainly not a good night to be out here. Best place to be is at home or in a shelter, and hopefully that's where most people are. We have noticed several cars out on the roadway, not a lot, but still some people driving around. Everything is closed down though. All the businesses are closed down, gas stations are closed down, so everyone hopefully is home safely where they should be.
Thank you, Lee. 9:12 in the evening on this Saturday night as Hurricane Francis starts to move ashore in South Florida. We're looking at live pictures from West Palm Beach, which compared, Rob, to the other parts that we have seen, doesn't seem to be getting it quite as badly right now.
And this is what we're seeing up and down the coast. You know, one place has it and another place doesn't. Robin Kish is in Boca Raton. She'll join us on the phone as we continue to show you this picture from West Palm, where you can see it's raining heavily there, and the wind is blowing some of the trees around. Robin, what can you tell us?
Well, I can tell you we just had a very frightening ride over to our new location. We have been downtown all day, and the weather started deteriorating. It was getting dark. The power was out on the block where we were, and we moved inland. And driving over here, it was pitch black. and we were actually on 95 for one exit, just one exit north. We got off at Glades Road, and I looked behind in the rearview mirror and saw nothing. There were no cars on the road, no lights on along I-95, and we were moving as slowly as we could, as safely as we could, but it was so scary to be doing this and looking back and seeing total darkness. And as we got off of the Glades Road exit and we came just a block west here, we just saw downed trees and total...
All right, we can't hear Robin, but obviously we can see her now. That picture switched from West Palm Beach to Boca
on the other road, so
and now we can hear Robin
another way in order to meet the live truck. We finally got a signal in. You can see it's pouring out here. There are trees down throughout the parking lot here and all the way down the road. We are on Glades Road, which if you're familiar with Boca Raton at all, Town Center Mall is down west of here. It's a very popular area for eating, for shopping, and all of the shopping centers are in total darkness. The restaurants, the hotels, there's just really, the only lights that we found were in this bank building, and we pulled over here because we could actually see something, but you can see the wind whipping through the trees. The rain is pouring down here, and when light comes tomorrow and we see actually how much debris has fallen, we'll get an extent of the damage, but a pretty frightening experience and not one that anyone should repeat.
Robin, you were on the phone a minute ago explaining that trip in the truck, which you said was pretty scary, and I just want you to go over...
I'm having problems hearing you right now.
Tell us again about the trip in the truck when you moved
I'll send it back
locations.
to you.
Oh, all right. Robin can't hear us. I was just concerned. She was explaining this scary trip in the truck. And we, in Deerfield Beach, we saw people driving around out there. This is not the time to be out driving around in this storm, as the brunt of it seems to be sweeping over and over the coastline and southward into Broward County.
All right, back up north in Juneau Beach is where we've seen consistently heavy winds. This is where Art Barron is standing by. Art, can you hear us?
Yeah, it's deteriorated very rapidly here, and it continues to build. This storm, it continues to increase in speed. The winds are extremely strong, Maggie.
How strong would you guess they are?
Well, you were telling me, the word passed along from Brian Norcross, 110. I would say, and Mike, if you can be a good second person here to confirm, don't you think we're looking at about 100-mile-per-hour winds right here, easily? And I would say maybe possibly 110, as you've been mentioning.
I'd say definitely.
Let's take the guesswork out of it and bring Brian Norcross in. Brian, you're watching that situation carefully in weather control.
Well, yeah, right at Juneau, one of those very strong cells looks like it's right over Juneau there, or just offshore. Actually, a stronger cell is up, just about to come into Stewart up there. You see the oranges on this kind of radar display, but these are the cells that have the over 100-mile-an-hour winds in them. It's very hard. You can't diagnose it really by just looking at the radar, but when we watched earlier and monitored the hurricane hunters going out there with this new kind of equipment they have on the plane, this step frequency radiometer it's called, that's what they measured, over 100 miles an hour in those particular sorts of cells rotating around this eye wall. This is the eye wall now coming ashore in Palm Beach, Martin, and St. Lucie County. From Stewart down to Juneau Beach right now is where the worst of it is.
All right, thanks, Brian. We're going to take you back to West Palm Beach for a minute. Art, stand by, because this is how quickly conditions can deteriorate. Remember, a short while ago, we looked at West Palm Beach, and we said it's better there. Suddenly, it's as bad as we have seen with this poor little palm tree barely hanging on.
Yeah, you can see there's still light there. There's a light post lit up for those of you who are forced to listen by radio at this point. If you lost your power, you're listening to us on the radio. We're showing pictures of West Palm Beach, and you can see that there is power, but the storm is just raging right there. The visibility is down to like really zero.
Yeah, and the contrast between, we have two pictures up now, West Palm at the top and Juneau at the bottom, and you can see here the wind is definitely present in both pictures, but now it seems as though West Palm Beach is getting it worse, which is just a sign of how quickly things can change.
Our reporters have all told us, and we'll bring Brian in on this, that they'll be standing there, even with Sean Kniff. We noticed he was standing there and one of these gusts hit him, and they appear to come out of nowhere, Brian, and therein lies such danger with a storm like this.
Well, yeah, these are very narrow bands, and it is the same band that goes from Stewart on down through Juneau Beach and on down into West Palm Beach, but the bands aren't like solid entities, and different parts of the bands have cells in them rotating through the bands. And Palm Beach International Airport just reported 75-mile-an-hour wind gusts there. So this is all part of that same band, and this is the one we've been waiting for. Embedded in this band is where somewhere there are these 100-plus mile-an-hour winds. Of course, it's not the whole band, it's just cells embedded within the band, because this is this unusual sort of hurricane event where you don't have this nice, tightly compact eye to focus on. Now it's all about these individual cells and what they're going to bring.
I know wind is the concern now, Brian, but I can hear that rain coming down and obviously see it in West Palm Beach. This is a very wet storm, and the wettest is still ahead?
Oh yeah, it's just begun, and they have had, I'm sure, 2.5, 3 inches of rain in West Palm now, by now. Oh, 4.25, okay, they added on. Oh, almost 5 inches of rain in West Palm, which is a new record for this date, but they just never had a hurricane on this date before, I guess. Wow. But that's only the beginning. I mean, they've got another almost 3 hours to go, and they could easily add another couple, 3, 4 inches just before midnight, and then they're going to get in, it's going to stop. I mean, you can see, well, if you, when we showed you the radar, you saw that this band was right next to the eye, and in the eye, the rain is going to quit. But then it's all going to start up again, and it's going to rain all day tomorrow. So, yeah, flooding is definitely a concern. There are flood watches and flood warnings over a good part of the peninsula, and I'm sure all of the central Florida area, or from the Palm Beaches north, Palm Beach County north in the peninsula is going to be under a flood watch or a flood warning before this is over. And the Hurricane Center is estimating up to 20 inches of rain in some areas, and uniform areas of a foot.
About how long will this area of Palm Beach see the eye of that storm, Brian?
You know, if this thing keeps moving this way, it could be all night.
Wow.
It could literally be tomorrow morning before this all starts up. I mean, the eye is about 60 miles wide. I'll tell you what, Craig, why don't you do your little measurement on the eye, because the eye's been shrinking some. One of the reasons we thought that maybe the storm was strengthening a little bit, but it was started out like 72 by 80, and last time we checked it was just over 60. But still, if it's moving 5 miles an hour and it's 60 miles, that's 12 hours. That's 9 o'clock in the morning.
That's
right?
a long time to be under siege. We have Henry Cromwell. He is a resident of West Palm Beach. You are getting it right now, the strongest that you have so far. 5 inches of rain reported in your neighborhood, and it's just beginning. Henry, describe the scene for us from where you are.
Well, it's, of course, the lights are all out. It's very dark. We've got strong wind out of the north, a little bit maybe to the northwest, steady rain, and then from time to time just real blinding sheets of rain.
Henry, tell us your personal situation. You inside a home, boarded up?
Yeah, we're in Ibis Country Club, which is on North Lake Boulevard, about 8 miles west of I-95, and we've been here the whole time, and everything seems to be secure. We just have a lot of debris in the area. We did take a little bit of a stroll before dark, and a lot of palm fronds and a few trees that have been blown down.
Brian Norcross mentioned that flooding is a real potential threat with this storm, which is so wet and so prolonged. Are you in a flood-prone area? How does West Palm Beach usually fare with heavy rain?
Well, it does have a tendency in some areas, but for the past several years, a lot of the county commissioners have been promoting cleaning out the drainage areas and the canals, and they've done a great job in Palm Beach Gardens and in that area. So we've been pretty fortunate that we've had minimal amount of flooding.
Well, Henry, we wish you the best as you stay hunkered down right there. We're still looking at these pictures from West Palm Beach, and Henry, I don't know, do you have a radio there at the very least that you can at least listen in on these reports and take care of yourself and your family?
We've been enough with it on the radio, and we've been very fortunate that we haven't had any real serious problems in our area.
Okay. All right, Henry. Hope it stays that way. Thank you, Henry Cromwell. Whoever said a Category 2 storm can't do damage hasn't seen these pictures. To look at these pictures, this is what we imagine. This is what we show when we talk about hurricanes. Any hurricane we talk about, this is exactly the sort of picture that we show. The palms swaying in the wind and the gusts 100 miles an hour. And this is a Category 2 storm, which isn't as severe as it could be, obviously, but it is such a slow-moving storm that it poses a huge double threat.
That has been the problem. It's just been so frustrating to watch this thing just sit out there off the coast all day today. It was frustrating. Yesterday it hung over the Bahamas. Brian, we have looked at the situation in the Bahamas as it went through.
And just to imagine this, that down there in San Salvador, it was a Category 4 hurricane at that time, and the damage goes up with the square of the thing, so that would be like 4 or more times the power. I think it was 8 times the destruction of this one. So you can imagine, and those people were under that for hours and hours and hours. Maggie, just to clarify, what we're under now is the eye wall. Okay, the eye is that big sort of empty area. Right. So what's going to happen when, and Craig measured it to about 45 miles across now, so that's down from 60 miles. But if this thing really does move at 5 miles an hour, that's still 9 hours that the rain is going to quit, right? But then it's going to come back and it's going to last for a lot longer than it's lasted today, although hopefully tomorrow's storm will actually be moving. But still, I think it's going to be an all-day rain event tomorrow, but hopefully without this intensity of wind, just because the storm, once the eye gets over land, generally will weaken.
Can you clarify the communities in South Florida you think will get the eye, will get the break?
Yeah, in fact, let me zoom out here on real-time Doppler 4, and we can see it's really from West Palm Beach would be the bottom of the line, because you can see here, there's the bottom of the eye, there's the top of the eye, and if it does go due west, West Palm Beach to just north now of Fort Pierce. So it's going to be the northern half of Palm Beach County, Martin County, and St. Lucie County will get some break. But there are some storms here right in the middle. But
what is that? I was going to ask you that. What is that building into the middle of the eye? We haven't seen that recently.
Well, we were speculating what that is. We think that's the hurricane trying to create a new, smaller eye down here at the bottom. It does not look like it's going to have time to do that, and with these strong cells up to the north, they're probably going to prohibit it, because what's got to happen in order to get an eye going is you have to have a lot of air flowing in, and the storm, the cells up the north are going to rob it, essentially, from ever getting to this eye wall here. So I don't think it's going to happen, but that's what's trying to happen. The eye wall is trying to shrink. And as hurricanes tend to do when they get stronger, the eye wall, the eye size shrinks. But it does not look like this one is going to be able to do that, although the wind still may increase just a little bit. And it is really